We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah.
Today, we have a special topic, secrets and benefits of bringing your story into the world.
Woo!
Yes, I'm loving this. And not only that, I mean, today's guest is absolutely amazing. Like we said pre-show, there's so many ways this conversation can go into, so I can't wait. I'm excited.
Can't wait, guys. Today, we actually have a sponsor.
What?
Say what? And that sponsor is Content Momentum by yours one and onlys. Two of them, Biz Bros. Yes, guys, if you have long-form content, you want to make sure that you get your time back because you want to multiply your message, we are here for you, and our agency can do that work for you. So we're excited. If you have any questions, slide into those DMs, send us a quick message, and we'll help you out. So before we get started, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. And follow us on social media at BizBrosGo.
That's right, guys. And if you find this episode impactful, which I am sure you will, don't forget to share it. And please, 5-star reviews. We would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So have you ever wondered what the coolest cover picture on Facebook looks like? Well, lucky you. Today's guest has what might be the coolest picture ever.
Oh, yeah.
It is a picture of Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson hanging out with him. How lucky are Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson?
Pss EPICO. For those guys right there scratching their heads, that means epic in Spanish.
Yes.
Either way, today's guest is a master filmmaker and visual storyteller. He actually had the pleasure of recording our own story with his company a few months back. And let me tell you, they make you feel like Russell Brunson himself.
His superpower, interviewing and helping people get their stories into the world.
No pressure.
He's an entrepreneur that has a video production company with an incredible team, which he's extremely proud of. As you might have noticed already, he works with Russell Brunson and many other amazing entrepreneurs. And last but not least, he's building an incredible software that we'll definitely talk about.
Oh yeah, guys, please welcome filmmaker, master storyteller, and the Pigeon King, Mr. Brandan Fisher! Woo! What up, Brandan? Hey, thank you so much. We're so excited.
You bet. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and I'm excited to talk with you guys today.
Oh, this is so exciting, Brandan. I know. And, off camera, we're talking about, if you're watching now the video, we're like looking in two different ways, me and my brothers, because we have this new setup. So it's okay. I hope it's not awkward for you,
I'm just going to say, can you fit in real quick? Because I'm going to have to look this side. There we go.
Damn. Perfect. Now we can see your face.
Perfect. Awesome. Brandan, thank you so much for coming here today. I am extremely excited. I had so many, I already have so many questions, right? But we're going to see where this conversation takes us to.
Yeah. So, Brandan, just a little bit of background, right? We now know that you obviously work with ClickFunnels and all this amazing community, but like how everything started with your company, your video production. How does that journey start? Like, what's your story?
You bet. So, man, I started about 15 years ago, right after I got married. I wanted to be able to find a way so that I could make money while my wife was working. And so I started up Fish Dog Productions, and I started out actually doing DVD to VHS transfers or slides, the old slide projectors. I would convert those over for people as well. And, it just kind of slowly evolved where like I would make money from certain clients and I'd start investing into equipment. So, I just kept doing that for years to keep investing back into the business.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I got to. And fortunately, I've been working with Russell now for over 6 years.
Wow.
And, just all in the way of just continue to acquire new equipment, taking my skill set to the next level. And at the end of the day, just trying to continue to provide value for clients. So
that's exciting. What one thing that I kind of relate a little there because you have your own production company, right? And we actually, when we started, we actually started as a social media marketing agency.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know how to take pictures or record any videos. But one of the things that we used to get into businesses doors was actually offer pictures and video, right? And that made us learn how to read video and all that stuff. But after a while,
that made you.
Yeah, that made
Yeah.
exactly. I was doing the dirty work right here.
I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I was a people guy.
But you know what? What's interesting is like I don't think people understand how difficult it actually is to scale a production company, right? Because it got to a moment where I was, wow, this is able to make people understand or find the people that know the value of video and the actual cost of video, because it got to a moment where I was charging prices, right? We were charging prices that honestly they were just being freelancing prices. So we weren't able to scale like that. We couldn't afford any more equipment, right? Any to pay somebody else. So that was extremely challenging. What did you come up with? Any challenges of that sort, of any other type of challenges during your journey?
Yeah, and I think that the biggest challenge, I think, is trying to figure out when's the best time to take on more help.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh,
That was like a mic drop right there. That's amazing.
oh no, Brandan, sorry, it got cut off a little
We
bit.
got you back. I'm like, that's so dramatic. It's like,
Oh no, do we have a good feed here?
oh, we're
Anyway.
good. We're good. We're back.
So what I was gonna say is, is looking at, what's it gonna take to kind of take things to the next level. And so I would say I was doing the hustle and the grind where I was working nights and weekends and just getting to the point where I was like, man, this is getting exhausting. I mean, you can do it for a period of time. And I still remember I ended up, it was pretty cool. Like working with Russell, he definitely helped me through and he continues to still do. But what I'm saying is he taught me how to do high ticket, how to close somebody doing a high ticket sale.
Yeah.
And I remember that I sold a dentist on a package, and it was a $35,000 package. And, they said yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I hired two guys. I went out and hired two guys to help fulfill all the work. But the problem was I wasn't actively out selling because I was the one also doing the work.
Yeah.
And so I hired these two guys out. We were cranking away on these videos, which was awesome. But then all of a sudden, I looked at my financials and I was like, hey guys, like I only have the ability to pay you for like 2 more weeks. And anyways, it was a bad situation to be in. But again, I didn't even think through that when I hired them on.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I brought Alex on our team, which I think you met Alex at an event that you actually got to do your video at, which is really cool. And so even from that, it's like, I'm glad that I went through that experience of, okay, I tried to grow and scale really quick to find out that I don't have a system in place, to then, Alex has been on my team now for over 5 years, and he's an absolute rock star. And it's just cool to continue to find people who are rock stars in their craft and bring on the team. We now have 3 other guys on our team. Awesome. And we continue to maybe expand as, we get more interest in people who are excited about having videos created for either their website or just telling their company's story.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I before like you dive into like the questions that you want, I really want to highlight the fact that you saw the high ticket as a starting point right there, because we've been working with a lot of people that they start producing the content, they have like a business and offer, but immediately they go to sell something that's very low value, right? As far as like pricing, right? It's like, hey, I need to sell, $100. And I remember having a conversation last night with somebody that, they need, like, their immediate goal is $1,000, right? And they have everything in place to be able to sell $1,000 offer if needed or more, right? Right now. but instead they were thinking, hey, can we actually sell, $100, packages? And there's going to be like, I just need 10 people and that's it. I'm like, well, what about just one person that pays you $1,000? Like, it's so much easier, and then it's gonna give you a lot of wiggle room to whatever you want to do next. So I really want to highlight that because it's been a topic of conversation lately with a lot of people that we work with. So thank you for bringing that out, and it just gave you the right to be able to go hire people, like bring more value. Be some people that are even more skilled you on whatever you're doing to make sure that your product it takes it to a new level. So
yeah, I actually wanted to highlight that as well. And it reminds me of something we learned, which I'm sure you know as well, because your company was the one doing the videos at Steve's event.
Yeah.
So. And I'm curious, that was probably a high ticket sale. Good job. but Steve, I remember him saying like, there's no better skill than learning how to sell to people that already has money, right? And for me, like that just stuck to my head because usually what happens is like when we're trying to create our dream client, right? And I feel like this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs where like, oh, I need to sell to the person that is struggling, right? But okay, yes, they might be struggling in other aspects of their life, of their business, right? But I don't know why so many times we look into struggling financially. Like, oh, I'm gonna sell to that person that they cannot sell their business, their product, their services, so they don't have the cash flow. I can help them. I'm gonna go and try to convince them to give me some money. And those are probably the most difficult people to sell to. So again, just highlighting again the high ticket, I think is super important. And another thing is, I read on 0 to 1, which is a book from Peter Thiel, who's the co-founder of PayPal. He said that a business without a sales system pretty much is useless, right? Like, because it's not going to evolve. So thank you for bringing that up. And now I'm actually pretty curious, like, how do you do it now? Do you have people organically coming into you because they see that you work with all these other, big name people? Or do you have actually someone pretty much, cold calling, to put it in a way?
You bet. Great question. The interesting thing is, so I've pretty much built a word of mouth business where I would say most people listening are probably that way, where almost all the sales come through me. I haven't necessarily hired somebody in that role. Yeah. But I think, if I was to hire somebody in that role, I don't know, maybe we could take on even more. Yeah. I haven't gone that route. Not to say, everyone has a different business. Yeah. I think the other thing is, I haven't necessarily trained up anybody else on the team to do it because they're really good at what they do in their current role. And luckily for us, I mean, let's talk for a second about this whole pandemic for a minute, which has been very fascinating. I would say probably 30% of our business was events. Oh, wow. And, there's a lot of people not doing events. Luckily, Russell continues to keep doing events and pushing things to next level by doing these virtual events. And it's been awesome to be able to have that and to keep us busy. I would also say that, we do have some strategies that we're doing. I can just talk about. We got these. I don't know if people have seen these, but they're video cards. And nice. What it looks like is it's a card that when you open it, it just starts playing a video.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so
awesome. So these are really cool. In fact, I learned this strategy. I think Russell, he might have done this like 5 years ago. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks all the time about just interruption marketing or just being able to get past gatekeepers or, the fact is I can send this to a dental practice and it's going to get to the right person, you know?
For sure.
And the ability, because we own a production company, we're able to fulfill all of our own video production needs. Yeah. The nice thing is we can record, and frankly, I could do it on my phone too, right? But you pull out your phone, you shoot an individual message to someone so that when they open it, it's saying, hey, Luis, check this out. I wanted to show you this thing, and it just draws you in. That it's more powerful to do it this way than it would be just to try to send them like an email with a video in it.
Absolutely.
So
definitely talk about a good hook, right? Like something that gets people attention. That is amazing.
I
Totally.
Oh man, like this is so valuable because in some sort, like people ask us, how do you guys get these people on your show, right? Because I think a lot of people are intimidated when they want to start this podcast. If they do it on their own, that's still like there's some resistance there to like, how do I talk with myself? But then if you want to start bringing people, it's like, how do I actually get to these guys? And for us, it was really like, let's actually go do a DM. Let's actually send them like a little video that's different. Like, let's actually appreciate what they're doing. And at the end of the day, it's like everybody that's been on the show has been somebody that we admire at a very high level. And we just want to share some time with them and making sure that we can, pass their message along to other people that might need it. Like we do like every single day, or, even 2 years ago, right? So I love the term interruption marketing, and especially that little card in there. We're like, Fonzie, we need to get those.
Yeah, they're awesome.
We're like, we need to get those immediately. But I love that you're always like willing to try this new thing. And you also mentioned, the value kind of a word of mouth business. Sometimes when that product is very good, is actually solving the problem to your dream audience, right? They're actually going to recommend you, right? And it's so important to not only keep them, but, they're going to put that good word in front of other guys. And there's no better marketing, I believe, than that referral marketing from the people that, go through your product. So, I think this is great. I think we should cheer for this. That's all.
I'm curious because I see multiple benefits from word of mouth, right? I mean, higher trust, easier to close. And this is a little bit tactical, right? But like, what are some of the best practices on your end to achieve that word of mouth?
You bet. In fact, I'll pick up and talk about the story of how me and Russell started working together, which is an interesting point, and I think anyone listening, will help them. But, I didn't know who Russell was, and I don't know that Russell was as big as where he is now 6 years ago. But what was interesting is he reached out to me because he was going to have his brother come up and film a video conference or film a conference.
Yeah.
And he knew that I did video, and he's like, hey, tell you what, you're interested in learning what I do. I'm interested in a video. Tell you what, if you come and film my conference for free, you'll then learn everything that I have. And I was like, man, that's a great opportunity. I'm sure anyone listening would love to be at the back of any of Russell Brunson's rooms, and being able to be able to get that content, not necessarily have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so I think this was an event that he was charging where I think between like $8,000 and $10,000 for, that people were sitting in the room. Wow. So I was like, you know what, this is a great trade. And so ultimately what I wanted to talk about is doing just that. I've worked a lot for free over the duration of time. And, to be honest with you, it's panned out. Like, I probably could have pushed back and had him pay, but we just have had such a good relationship over the years, and I think that has definitely helped. Is getting your foot in the door. If you guys are good at what you do, sometimes you just gotta prove it to the people that you're trying to attract.
Yes.
And if if you think it's a client worth pursuing, sometimes you don't know. My network has grown because of Russell. He's so connected with people, and he's able to attract some really high-end people that sometimes are making really good money online, and sometimes want to reach out and have us do video work for them. So it's, like I said, it's been great.
Yeah, I love it. We've touched on this a couple of episodes back, where it's like, okay, what's the power of proximity, right? And hey, is give and takes, right? And sometimes we really need to know who's that number one client that you're willing to actually do something for either free or very at cost, maybe, that might allow you to develop that relationship to then, because you're in proximity, because you're so close to that person, then it becomes a referral game, and it helps in the long term for your business. So that's a very interesting fact, especially because we're heavily involved in social media, and it's called social for a reason, right? We got to develop those relationships. How do you do that, right? I mean, imagine going on a date for the first time and then be like, it's not on me. You have to pay. Like, what? The girl is gonna be like, no, I'm done. I'm gone. I know, like, my wife will be like, slap in the face, get out of my way. You know,
showing a little bit of effort goes a long way for sure.
Yeah, big time. Now, there has to be kind of like a limit. Like, when do you know like enough is enough, or like like, how do you know where like my free work is you know, valuable? How do I know when to stop and then move on to the next relationship? Does that person kind of lets you know, or you're like, you put that ahead of time?
That's a great question, and I think the example I gave with Russell is like, I genuinely wanted to understand like how to sell things online.
Yeah.
And he needed a video, so I felt like that was just a very good like trade. Sometimes the trade doesn't work. There's times like where, I don't know if you guys would relate to this, but sometimes I actually don't like discounting my work. So for example, if you're worth something, go out and get what you're worth.
Yeah.
I would rather work for free and serve you than for me to try to take a lesser amount and then you're telling me what I'm worth. At least that's kind of how I've done it.
Love it.
And I work harder if I'm actually take it back. What I'm trying to say is sometimes I'll work differently if I'm in a service mentality. Yeah. It's a different game.
Yeah.
When you're in a service mentality than you are like, you know, trying to work for then less, and it kind of salts the relationship a little bit.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway,
pretty interesting point.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I think it is difficult for people to understand their personal value as well. And sometimes that leads to, you know, charging amounts that you are not comfortable at, and then doing the work for that amount, right? Example, when we first started, that we were doing this social media marketing, right? We go to restaurants, and our pitch was for $500 a month, right? And at first, that was the biggest sale we've ever done, and we're like, yes, like $500, let's go. And then we would start doing the work, and we're like, oh no, this is worth way more than $500. What are we doing, you know?
Yeah.
And that being said, honestly, that put like a mental block on the work, because my work is worth more. And then you're like, you might encounter yourself saying, I don't want to do maybe these extra things that I would normally do because I'm not being compensated enough, right? And you know, again, we preach go over deliver always, if you can, under promise and over deliver. But I think it gets to a point where sometimes you do need to be compensated properly. So it is awesome that you bring up that point, because something that we've been experiencing too is like, okay, we used to sell the service at a certain price, and we're like, this is not it, right? And we wouldn't mind to increase it a little bit for the next time we will have to pitch someone. So I encourage anybody that's listening to this right now to actually, you know, ask yourself, how do you feel when you charge this type of money? Is it your value, or do you think you're worth more?
Yeah. I wanna transition a little bit here, Brandan, and I wanna go back to the kind of creation of content itself. Like, you work with a lot of people that create content on a regular basis. You know, you're behind camera, sometimes making them feel very like good about themselves, so the message and the story can get out. On your eyes, like, how important is this story? How important is this story to the person that's in front of that camera?
I mean, story is everything. I mean, that's what gets us to connect. I mean, stories have been told forever, right? Like, probably back in caveman times. That's just like everything we do. That's why we enjoy going to the movies. That's why we enjoy even having conversation, right? Is to share stories that we've had with each other. And this was my experience. And then, you know, that it's just interesting how, yes, story is everything. And it's all about how to tell that in the correct way, I guess you could say. Because, you know, a lot of times people, they might have already told their story so many times that they think that everyone's heard it. So then they just skip to the, you know, they miss out, miss some of the key pieces, and they go right to the end. I'm sure you guys have heard, but like even Steve Larson, when he was on stage, he's shared some stories, and the way in which he'll tell certain details of the story it gets you immersed in the story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then one of the analogies was, he was like, well, what color was the carpet? And how what I loved about as he was explaining things is, the fascinating thing is, he didn't go into the details, but we'll fill that stuff in in our own minds, into our own story based off the story that was told. So anyway, it's just very, very key in making sure that the story that you're telling is a good story.
That's so true. Like I personally, I don't remember a single time in my life where I've become emotional from reading facts on things, right? Like not even a single time. It's not like I'm reading like, whoa, 90% of this thing does X, Y, and Z. I'm like, oh no. And then a few tears drop down my face. Like I've never kind of a place. But there's been plenty of times where someone is telling me stories and I'm getting excited. I'm like, stop now. Like, where do I get this? What is the next step? And I mean, we are emotional beings, and we buy emotionally, and then we justify it logically, right? Like then we go over the facts, and it's mostly more than for us is to justify it to people that are around us, right? We're like, oh, look, this is why I bought it. So that way, I agree 100%. Story is key, and personally, this is a personal opinion, but I think you guys might agree with me. The best way to getting good at telling stories is by telling the stories multiple times, right? Like practicing over and over. I mean, we just had a conversation this morning with Catherine Jones, and she was like, I told the same story for 2 days straight for 20 hours. Like that story was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Brandan,
absolutely.
When you first started with the video, like, where was that from the very beginning? Like, were you guys big fans of stories from the very beginning? Or how was that evolution as far as like on the production side? Because we talk a lot about stories on your personal side. Hey, if I put my phone in front of me, right, and I want to tell the story. From your point of view on the production side, how has that evolution been? Maybe personally for the team, or how can you guys transfer that into the people that are in front of the cameras?
You bet. Man, I started out doing corporate videos, doing like a business would send me into a conference, for example, and they'd give me a sheet of paper and they would say, okay, we need to make sure that, that they answer all these questions. I was like, okay, great. So I would sit there with a printed out piece of paper and I would say, what is your experience been with the company? And it was so cold and it was so not personal. And it's interesting that there's tons of people that might be listening to this right now that are like, oh yeah, that's totally what I would do. I'd hire somebody to record my videos at a conference. But the thing that's interesting is if you can get somebody to care, I mean, really, that's what it comes down to is like, I actually care about you guys as human beings. Like, the fact that we're on here today and we're able to connect is awesome.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you guys want me to open up and share, sometimes you have to open up and share yourselves first.
Yeah.
And then that's going to create a space of vulnerability. So that's one of my takeaways as far as being able to do good interviews for what you're going to be doing is you got to be able to connect with the person that you're asking questions to. Not the agenda of reading off a piece of paper with 5 questions. Yeah. The other hard part is by doing that, then all your interviews turn out the same anyway because you're asking just the same 5 questions, right? And so, again, for me, I just try to be curious and I try to ask questions and I try to get somebody to open up and I listen with the ear and mind of who the audience is going to be listening. So it's trying to put yourselves into that person's shoes and ask curiosity-based questions that they themselves might be asking. So I'm drawing a blank right now on something that I would ask because I'm not actually interviewing you guys. You guys are kind of interviewing me.
We flipped the script. I know it's funny. Like for those listening, when we were preparing the show, we go through like these different steps to make sure that we have some information down. You guys fill out a little form in there that tells your superpower, and we're like, man, like this guy has interviewed like the MVPs of the freaking industry, like no pressure, Fonzie. Like we have to like pull through and drink our coffee and make sure that we're, you know, A+. And on top of that, we decided to do a new setup. So that's a whole different story. But anyways, how are we doing, Brandon? Are we doing okay? I mean, you can be honest.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Absolutely.
Let's
go.
So, you know, that's actually one of the questions that I had here from before the show. It was, what makes a good interview? And I love, you know, what you said on curiosity-based questions, because I feel that's how we have run this whole podcast. It is more, and we say it all the time. It's like, hey, yes, of course, we're creating this content for the audience, but at the same time, we're doing it as much as for them as for us. And most of our questions are just curiosity driven, right? Like when we're talking about something and I'm like, oh, I'm curious about that. I want to know more about that, right?
Let's go.
We go in and we ask the questions. So thank you for that. And the other thing, you know, yesterday we actually came across this advertisement, right? And it was about, I'm not going to say the name of the company, obviously, but it was a company that pretty much provides like random questions.
I was about to go talk to it's like we're brothers, man. This always happens.
We're connected.
This is not scripted, I promise.
But they have like, they provide questions for podcasts, right? And
it is a deck of cards.
Yeah. I don't want to give too many details, but because I don't want to say any. I mean,
I don't care.
Again,
I've seen
like in my work.
I've seen it. I know what you guys are talking about.
Okay, good. So for me, I'm seeing that, and I'm like, personally, I'm like, the people that are buying this to guide their interviews, you know, like how. I don't know how to put this, right? But it's like...
Be polarizing. Come on, Fonzie. You can do this.
They need to find their own curiosity, right? To create their own engaging questions, right? Because a lot of these questions were like, if you could have dinner with someone from history, who would it be, right? Like, yes, it's an entertaining, fun fact, but you cannot just guide your whole podcast with those type of questions. So what would your recommendation be besides curiosity-based, right? And get someone to care on the other side to, you know, come up with these good questions, or what makes the interview good and exciting for both parties?
You bet. And I'm sure you guys do this too, right? Based off of who might come. Let's be honest. I DM'd you guys, and I saw that you did an interview with one of my friends, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, well, maybe I could provide value to you guys. So that's why I reached out, right? Yeah. But there still has to be like, I might not have been a good fit for your show. And, you know, you guys are going to be the ones that make the call on that. But similar in when we're asking people questions for an interview is like, what is the whole purpose of the show? Or sorry, what is the whole purpose of the interview? You know, is it to get people, is it to get people to buy a book? Is it to get people to sign up to a mastermind? Is it to get people to, you know, what is it that you're trying to get people to do? And then just trying to figure out, like, you know, is this person a good fit for that in helping sell this product or this service, or to come to this event, or to, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So most of the times though, sometimes when you're at a conference, you're just trying to get people coming through, and we don't know who's going to be good, who might not be good.
Yeah.
But the process is the same, which is like, okay, at the end of the day, if the whole goal is how can we serve more people, because if there's only one person that's being interviewed and that was it, then that person might not be anyway.
Yeah,
my point is, the more interviews you get, the more social proof that looks, the more it's like, oh wow, these guys or this service or this conference, I can't miss it.
Yeah.
Because it looks so good. Or these sound bites, oh, that's just like me and my story. Like they resonate with it, and then it causes them to take action.
Wow, this is so powerful, and you took it to like a different level with the conference type of content. But I was actually listening to Steve's training yesterday, like on how he purchased his media, like how he buys media on Facebook ads and stuff like that. And he was saying volume is probably more important than the ad itself, right? And I think, you know, this story has been around, but it's like Russell talking to Dean Graziosi, and I'm like, dude, how much, why are you selling so many books? And it's like, Dean asked him back, like, okay, how many ads are you releasing? How many creatives are you launching every day? And he's like, well, we're doing like once a month or something. And he's like, well, dude, I'm doing one every day, right? So sometimes it's not even like the content that's out there, because I mean, if the content is really good, the message is really good. What we were talking earlier with Catherine, right? The message is really good for the people that actually sit down and listen. Great value.
Yeah.
But for the total awareness of things, the perception that people can take about your business, about what you do, this volume is like, oh my gosh, these guys have been publishing for so long. These guys have so much content. Guys, this conference has so many videos, how many sound bites, these many people that come in, and that elevates the level of rapport to then create that instinct to actually go on and consume the content.
Yeah.
So I loved how you put it on that side of things with the conference and a physical event, because it relates very well with the online side and the real side of things.
Yeah, I want to tie that to something that I heard the other day called the law of 100, which I found super interesting, right? Because a lot of we hear quality over quantity, right? So many times we hear that, especially in the online, where people say publish quality. The thing is, your first one, second one, third one, the first few, they're not gonna be quality. You might have quality in the production, but the message is what's more important, right? So the law of 100 is actually this little story that in a school, a professor has a group of students, right? And he separates them in two groups, and he says, group number 1, you guys, to pass the class, you need to bring, it's a photography class. To pass the class, you need to bring me 100 pictures by the end of the semester. And then he goes to the other group and he said, to you guys, to pass the class, you only need to bring me 1 picture, but it has to be perfect, right? So when we put it in there, who do we think got the passing grades, right? The most passing grades, and actually the best pictures? It's easy. It's the group of kids that did the 100 pictures, right? Because every time they take a picture, they just get better and better and better. When the other ones, they only took 1 shot attempting to be the best that they could, right? So when we put this back into the interview style, right? The podcasting and creating content, I think number 1 is be consistent. The more interviews you do and you put out there with others, the better you're gonna get.
Absolutely.
Drop mic.
And one thing that I don't know if you're cool if we transition, but
Let's do
it. So here's what I was thinking is, okay, so let's hypothetically say you have all of these video testimonials, right? Mm-hmm. The nice thing is we have this new platform. Well, it's not that new because it's been around for probably 4 years now, which is the live platform, and how people are using live videos to go live to all these different, social platforms and things like that. What's cool about it is, and you guys have a show about this, which is creating content. If you guys create content and you're putting it online for people to be able to see it, the power is being able to create your own show. And the fact that you guys have your own show, which is awesome, and it'll continue to evolve. You guys might get a bigger space someday. You might have different art on your wall. You might have, different microphones. But again, you don't have to start out with the best. You just have to start creating content, which is what Luis just talked about with the, doing 100 photos, right? It's little by little. You just keep, just like I did when I grew my production company. I didn't have the best stuff up front. I just used what I had. So many people discount like, oh, well, I need to shoot it on something other than the iPhone. The iPhone is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like the technology in this thing now, you can now edit on it. There's so much stuff that you can do on this that I think we like to create the excuses in our minds of, well, I don't have the right equipment, therefore I can't produce content.
Yeah.
So here's what's cool about this. If you have past content that might end up on a website, so many of your audience might not even be able to see that because it's just buried away somewhere.
Yeah.
You could actually take an interview that you've had from a conference. You could shoot a new intro to it. Hey guys, I just wanted to share this story with you. Now the story I'm about to share with you is Steve. And Steve, and you set up this whole story about Steve and all this stuff, and you get people excited to hear about Steve. And then you play Steve's interview. Okay? And then when the interview's done, then you add an outro to it and a wrap up and a call to action. Hey guys, if you're like Steve and you want to have a similar experience to him, what I want you to do is click the link down below to get started today, whatever that looks like.
Beautiful.
What's cool about that is if you have all this content that you've already produced, you've already spent the money for, it's just sitting there on a website that you're trying to drive traffic to, but you could actually take that and then turn that into a Facebook Live. So I'll tell you this. I was sitting at the back of one of Russell's Inner Circle meetings, and I'm filming at the back of the room. And these two guys were talking about this concept. You can take a pre-recorded video and you can push it live to Facebook. And my light bulb moment went off, like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out how to do this.
That was the goal moment. That was the goal moment for you. You know, you heard that.
Absolutely. And I mean, I still remember where I was, how I felt, and it was like incredible. And I'm sure that you guys can relate. When you have the hair on your arm just stand on end, you're onto something good, you know? And what was cool is I figured out how to do that. Russell was going away on a vacation somewhere, but we recorded a bunch of videos ahead of time, and we used this concept to then push them live. And it was awesome. And it was me and John Parks trying to figure out how to do this. And there were frustrations along the way, though, using this method that they were teaching. And I knew that there had to be a simpler way.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'm at the back of another, inner circle room, and there's a guy talking about software and how you can create your own software. And I was like, man, I have a really good idea for a software. And it's actually called Live Pigeon. And so what I ended up doing is I went to him and I said, hey, I have this idea. And he validated me. He's like, that is a good idea for a software. And so I took and I ran with it. And we've been doing this now for over 3 years.
Nice.
And I'm super excited about the software because it allows you to take those videos like I just kind of described.
Yes.
You upload them to our service, and then you schedule when you want it to go live to Facebook or to YouTube.
Beautiful.
And it's incredible.
So, Brandan, I just want to say something. I don't know how you did it, but you're also a mind reader, because that was the direction I was about to take the interview. I'm like, Brandan, you're a guy of many talents. And one of those talents is a software developer. And I'm like, what? How do you do it? Did you see my notes? I don't know what technology you have in there. I don't know how you do it. But absolutely, man. Like, and this is one of the things when you said it, when you reached out to us, we're like, obviously, we're going to do some research on the back end. And we're like, this guy sounds so familiar. Why does it sound so familiar? And believe it or not, we've actually heard about the software before. So we're like, my gosh, this is incredible, right? And on the show, we've talked many times on why we do the show live, right? For us, it means less friction when editing, less friction when the post-production comes, less friction when actually gonna do it, because we're advertising to everybody that we're actually gonna go live that day, including our guests, because, at least I am in nature very lazy. So if I don't put that pressure in front of me...
It's an accountability tactic for ourselves.
Exactly. So if I don't put that pressure in front of me, absolutely not. But there's going to be times where December, probably, we're Hispanics and we like to party. There's going to be days that we might not be here in the office. But the show must go on because consistency is the priority for us, right? So when we came across, we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Let's bring it in. And the fact that you mentioned like that turnaround too, there's a lot of people that have so much content, so much stuff that they worked really hard for, that is very highly produced, and it's just sitting there collecting dust. Yeah. Wow, what a better way to just bring it back, turn that into a show, and put it on a regular schedule so your audience can actually start connecting with you and your guest, and you have this amazing platform that allows people to do that. So
yeah, not only that, I mean, from a more technical point of view, like Facebook at least rewards more the live video, the live content, right? Like you get more engagement, they push it more. So I can definitely see the advantage of Live Pigeon on people that don't want to maybe commit under schedule at time to sit down and actually go live. They can just do it in batches too, right? Like we could easily,
absolutely,
have all of our guests come one day of the week or one day of the month, and we do all our podcast interviews, and then we could schedule it to go on, and we're saving that much time, right? So I think it's a fantastic tool. And I'm curious, why was it, you say you heard these people talking about the lives, and I just shared a little bit of the technical side, but like, I'm curious on why did you decided to do just lives? Like, was it just because they were saying it and you're like, oh, that's a good idea, let me try it out, or there was something else behind it?
You know, that's such a good question. I feel called to do what I'm doing with the video camera and to be able to help tell people stories. But it's limited on the reach that I can actually do as well. I can only take on so many clients per year, or I can only do so many videos. And it's hard because there's so many people out there that need help or need assistance. And I think what else is interesting, you guys have probably heard this from either reading Russell's books or hearing Stephen Larson talking about it. I think Stephen Larson said he will do anything that Russell asks him to do except for publish. And you guys know the power of publishing.
Yeah.
But when you guys, for anyone that's listening, if you've been told, hey, you need to start publishing, it's intimidating. Some people have fear in going live. The fact that I can pull out my phone, record my message ahead of time, review it, you know, I like that take. Take that one, push it live, at least until you can start to understand, like, the more that we talk to people, the more that we communicate what it is that we do, the better we get at telling and doing that thing. And sometimes when we're first starting out, we might have the thing that we're selling or the thing that we're doing, but we might not have our messaging down yet. And so we got to get in repetition and practice. And I mean, if anything, you know, maybe live pitch is the training wheels you've needed to be able to get comfortable going live.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's just one.
That's awesome.
And that's just one kind of thing with it. The cool thing is Brian Delaney, who he's got so many two Comma Club awards. I mean, the guy's just crushing it. He reached out to me because he was doing a 30-day live challenge where he was going live every day for 30 days. But he found out in the middle of his challenge, he was supposed to go to his friend's wedding in Florida.
Oh, man.
So what he did is he wanted to still be able to go live for 30 days. He recorded 3 messages in advance. He used Live Pigeon to schedule those out, and it made it look like he was at his home studio doing his thing. And realistically, he's still serving his audience. He's still providing value. No one knew the difference that he was there at a wedding, and it was a win-win all the way across the board. So, you know, whether you want to supplement the way that you go live, you know, again, I have nothing against going real live. The fact that you guys are going live is awesome. It's very commendable. You're taking the plunge. But, you know, just like you said, there's going to be times that, you know, hey, I need a solution like this, you know?
Yeah, I find super interesting the part that you were talking about the fear, right? Because that is one of the biggest things that probably put a hold on us. It was like that fear of making a mistake while going live. I will say this, one of the biggest rewards of going live is embracing your those fears of messing up and embracing your mistakes, because I mean, you heard my brother messing up at the intro today, right? And we're like, it doesn't matter, and we just laugh it out and keep going, which is one of the biggest advantages. But I totally understand, right? Like, that fear is huge on people, right? A lot of people are like, well, I want to look good on video when I put it out there. So definitely I can see that too, you know, being a, you know, I heard multiple times the sale happens for 2 reasons. Like, either you're moving someone away from fear or you're moving them closer to pleasure, right? And I feel like this one has both of them, you know, like you're moving them away from the fear, but you're giving them pleasure on the fact that, okay, I am confident that this video looks how I want it to look when it goes live. So
it truly is a publishing secret weapon, right? It's like, hey, you know, this is so versatile to the fact that, you know, if you're starting out, that's fine. If you need 5-10 different takes, we were there. Like, we wish we had a tool, or we knew about the tool when we first started, because we were the guys recording 7 times, 10 times, 11 times the video, and then at the end, because we were so over it and we didn't want to edit, it wasn't published, right? But at the same time, if we would have had something like this, I'm sure the publishing part would have come, and then at the end of the day, that experience, that's what led to us publishing actually live. But at the same time, even if you're on that schedule, because your audience needs your consistency, the platforms need your consistency, then if life happens, then you have this amazing tool in your hands to continue that consistency trend, even if you're doing live. So there is a win-win-win everywhere. So we'll definitely, Brandon, we're just gonna definitely put those links right below, and we're gonna be checking it out, experimenting with it, and see what happens, because there's so many plans for our shows.
Yeah, I actually have a fun fact, and which is, like, the first time that I heard about live pigeon was actually in Marley's Jack's Instagram story. I saw her that she was like, "Oh, I got this package from someone," and I remember that she opened it and she saw one of those cards that you showed us at the beginning, a video card, and I was like, "Wow, those are so cool!" And then she was talking about live pigeon, and then I remember her doing a story, and she's like, "Look, guys, I'm recording a story right now, but I'm live too at the same time," and I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool tool right there. And, sorry, you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, too, there might be listeners that are still working a 9-to-5 job who are doing something aside on the hustle, or have a side hustle. What's really cool about this is you could go live at 10 in the morning when you're at work, but to your audience, it makes it look like, that you're doing good. You got your, this is what you do full time. So, again, the fact that you can be at two places at once is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, the thought of being in two places at once, that's pretty cool.
Or 4, depending on how many accounts you got on there.
I'm kind of curious. How have people reacted to live pigeon, right? Because I know, for example, when Russell was announcing funnel in live speakers, I know he recorded them and he published them, and I'm guessing he used live pigeon, right? So, but besides this, like, big players, right? How has it been for other entrepreneurs that have been using it?
You bet. I think it's cool to be able to see how everyone's using it, because everyone has a different and unique way they're using it. And I think Russell does it well, where you don't know if he's live or not, meaning you just, his message is so good, and the way he tells his stories like draws you in, right? And it's just been really cool. As far as like the reception goes, it's been great. We've continued to keep growing. We've made it way better than when we first started out.
That's awesome.
When we first were doing this, we could only go live to Facebook, but now we can go live to YouTube as well. And it's just kind of cool just to see the evolution of the software. And like I said, we've been doing this now for 3 years. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of people who are inside, let's say, the funnel hacking community who are using it, which is really fun and exciting. But like I said, I love the story like Brian Delaney who's used it.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that it's just cool when you just see them using it, and like when you hear the story, it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think to use it that way. And like I shared a few strategies, I think, of how you can kind of implement and use it yourselves. I just think that again, it's pretty cool to try to figure out a way to create a software solution that is super easy to use. So that, I mean, to be honest with you, I created a course on how to do what the two guys in the room were doing, right? And it was an 1.5-hour course, and I still remember being like, oh, this is going to be great. But my biggest hang up was, all right, is someone like Russell Brunson going to have an 1.5 hours to sit through my training to figure out how to use a very complicated software that's free to figure out how to do this themselves? And so anyways, to go back to the drawing board and figure out something that he can then take and use it himself is huge.
I think we have to also mention that this is a journey, right? As far as like when publishing comes along, we chatted with Catherine this morning. Like one of the biggest benefit has been the change inside of us as far as like the growth, the personal growth that we've been able to achieve. But with that also comes a lot of experimenting, not only in the way that you publish, but with the tools that you can use to publish, right? It's like, okay, how far can I take this, right? How can I stay consistent? If you have family, if you have a job, if you don't have a job, like what are the different things and the tools that allow me to be able to discover myself, grow while publishing consistently to serve my audience to the best way possible? Because we all know that time, right, is the most scarce resource that we have. So the more busy we are, you know, we might be sacrificing different things that we don't want to really sacrifice, right? One example is, you know, my wife started full-time pharmacy right now, and you know, she's doing her thing. So my schedule has to shift around what she's doing because she's worked the last 8 years to that. And we have one 1-year-old, right? But at the same time, we've developed this amazing community, this, you know, audience that follows us, that loves the interviews and the videos at a certain time. So we're like, now that tools like this are available to us, we can continue to develop our passion, to develop the audience, to do this on a consistent basis. So I think it's like bringing the fun, experiment, and on that path to growth is very important, not only on the way that you publish, but with the tools that allow you to get to that point. So
Yep.
First off, thank you so much for freaking reaching out and be like, we have this awesome tool. So guys, everybody go down to the link and check it out for sure, because this is going to save you guys a ton of time, and it's going to allow you to develop your publishing way further than you ever thought in so many ways. I think you should have like a little videos on, or different, like a PDF on like how people are using it, because I don't know if you have that already, but that would be great. It's like the videos that you already have in there, like collecting dust, and then you can re-grab them and republish them, right?
Yeah, I like that idea a lot, honestly. The one of re-grabbing old videos and kind of like
beautiful.
re-engaging them in your feed.
Oh man, yeah.
You bet. In fact, if you guys go to our landing page, you'll see we've got Jim Edwards on there, Brian Delaney, Natalie Hodson. Again, a bunch of heavy hitters inside of this 2CCX world, or 2Cs, the 2 Comma Club Award, right?
Yeah.
Hackers, but it goes beyond that as well. But it's it's really cool to be able to hear their stories and how they've been able to use it. So yeah,
Amazing.
That's exciting. What is the link for the landing page?
Just livepigeon.com.
Livepigeon.com. There you go, guys. Go check it out right now.
Guys, once you start publishing and grabbing those old videos that have amazing value and you put them back in live with Live Pigeon, just make sure you give us a call so we can repurpose your content. We have an amazing agency right here that helps you actually do that, so then you can get more reach, more audience, multiply your message that you invested your time creating, right? So thank you, Brandon. I just had to take the opportunity and plug Content Momentum in there, so appreciate it.
No, absolutely. No, I love it. I mean, that's the thing. There's so much, there's so many ways that we can serve, and if you guys can do that, it'd be awesome. So
absolutely.
That's
now,
right.
couple questions to finish this off. It has been an incredible interview. I truly hope so. And you know, I keep count of the times that you said great question, because you actually are a master interviewer. So it was about 5 or 6.
Let's go.
So thank you.
We did it, team. We did it.
We did it. We made sure that was done. What would be an action point, like very basic, like to the points? What can they do today to, you know, move either their business, their publishing? What can they do now to get to a new level?
Very cool. You know, it's one thing for me to, like, let's say, toot my own horn of talking about how amazing the software is, but if I can get other people to say that for me, it's way more powerful. We're so skeptical, and we want to hear what other people have to say instead of the one person telling you how good it is. Does that make sense? And so with that being said, I would say don't have fear of, well, I don't have the equipment to be able to do this, or, oh man, we're in a pandemic right now and I'm not going to be able to do these interviews. The fact is, you guys are interviewing me right now. We're using Skype, but you know, if Zoom is also a good tool, jump online with these people and interview them and ask them. You know, there's ways that you can conduct a whole interview and not even be in it if you don't want to be in it. You know, there's ways that you can do, again, just asking them simple curiosity questions that are like getting people, or if you know, who is your ideal customer? Who is it that you're trying to attract? And you get these people to talk who are if you get an attractive character to then talk to and talk through their experience, it's then going to attract more attractive, or the same type of people, right?
Yeah.
thoroughbreds attract other thoroughbreds, right? So it's just
Love
like
it.
they're all hanging out together, and so that definitely helps. And even the questioning of, you know, making sure that you're, again, don't overthink it, but just stay curious, ask them questions of what other people. If you look at people who do webinars who are really good at it, they know what objections people have. They know, you know, again, if you know those things, ask those questions to the people that might answer an objection, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's
So awesome.
it makes sense the way I do it, but it's a little different to articulate it. But I mean, that's really it.
Yeah.
The other thing is giving them the ability and platform to freely speak about the person or the product or the whatever. So if you do have an agenda with questions, that's great. But then, you know, put it back to them and just say, what was your experience like? Or is there anything? This is what I love. I think this is probably the best gold nugget I can leave with you guys today, which would be the way I close out all of my interviews. This is my secret sauce, which is just asking them one question. Okay, it's a single question. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to say about blank?
Oh, that's
And
good.
yeah, and I think what's really interesting is, as much as you want to come prepared for it, usually what they say in that last question, you could just that alone, and that's usually where the gold comes from. But don't use it on me because I just gave you my final thought. So does that make sense?
I was about to use this question right now.
No, this is beautiful. I mean, who's coming Friday? Whoever's coming Friday is gonna have it rough on this one.
Yeah, he's gonna get this question for sure.
Absolutely. You know, we're gonna have to rethink the timing on the everything else.
But talking about last questions, we actually have this one question that stemmed out of one of the shows, and we're like, wow, that was a really good question. We should start asking that to close every single show. And the reason behind it, and I don't think we explained this, but the reason behind it is because of what you're talking about, social proof. It's a question that when we ask, it gives a lot of social proof about what we speak about and the message that we're trying to share. So that being said, I think that's the last question.
Oh, baby. So, Brandon, where would you be if you did not start producing content, publishing, or helping people to publish? Where would you think you'd be right now?
Very interesting question. You know, if I go back and I look at, you know, my wife has been so supportive of me throughout the years. And, you know, if it wasn't for her and her support in helping me to do this, like, it would change everything. I don't even know. Like, it's interesting. Like, there are so many pivotal things along the way that if I didn't do them, I wouldn't be where I'm at, you know? So let me ask you this. Repeat that question one more time. I apologize.
So where would you be right now if you did not start producing content the way that you do?
Okay, first off, I wouldn't have met Russell Brunson if I didn't produce content, and that has definitely changed my life as far as the trajectory and what I'm doing. The thing is, I was doing more corporate based videos that were more stuffy, doing stuff for, let's say, TD Ameritrade, and you know, they're not edgy at all. They're just very just stuffy and just not anyway. But you look at the entrepreneurial space, and this is the fun and exciting. It's people who are creating content, doing fun stuff. They're the speedboats. They're able to move so quick, where these huge corporations, you know, it just takes so long for them to make a single decision.
Absolutely.
So again, I absolutely love who we're able to serve, and it's just been so fun along the way.
Yeah, awesome. Thank
you for sharing.
I just wanted to share too, like the experience that we had with you and your team, and you know, everybody out there at Offer Lab, and even at Funnel Hacking Live. We actually met up with some of the guys and we chatted around the fountains in the hotel. Has been nothing but amazing. I remember the day that we were actually supposed to record our backstory for Offer Lab and stuff like that. I was completely sick. I had the flu. My eyes were the color of the backdrop that was completely red.
Yes, that was
you,
so funny.
So you can't tell apart. And we're like, oh my god, we got this video exciting. But the fact that that person was asking the right questions, my head was not there, it was completely stuffy. It was impossible. And I think it was Alex. Alex, was it? I can't remember now the day. But
Yeah.
he was in front of us and he was like guiding us through and all the questions and making us feel very comfortable, like, breathe in, breathe out, and that was a massive, massive thing that we've taken with us to be able to actually produce the show and talk the way that we do and ask the questions the way that we do. So I really appreciate you, man. Like you guys planted that seed and it has been amazing ever since. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Thank you guys. And what's really cool, and you guys did a great job, because here's the thing. You guys didn't send me questions ahead of time. There's no agenda. And the fact is, we just got to have a conversation. That's exactly what I do when I create, testimonial content, things like that, is keeping it conversational. If you send anytime somebody's like, oh, no, send me the questions ahead of time. Nope. We're just going to have a conversation. And this is what came from it. So thank you guys so much for having me on today.
No,
Absolutely.
thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Where can we find you? Where can people connect with you if they want the software? If they want to just chat with you, where can people find you?
You bet. Let's see. We have an Instagram, which is Live Pigeon. We've got livepigeon.com is our domain name. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. I think that everyone else is. We don't have TikTok, but I think that's going away anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So Live Pigeon pretty much everywhere, right?
Live Pigeon everywhere.
Yeah, Live
Awesome.
Pigeon.
And if they want to connect with you personally, they gotta look for the Pigeon King, right?
The Pigeon King. The Pigeon King.
I might have to go see. I'm sure that's taken, but I'll have to go look at that now.
Don't worry. If you're listening and you want to connect with Brandan and his team, just scroll down. It's going to be everything on the description. And I think that's it, man. Like, this was amazing.
This was so
Brandan,
much fun.
again, thank you so much. John Lee, we're going to say bye to the podcasting audience, and then we're going to say bye to the Facebook Live audience, and then we're going to say bye to you.
The Hispanic way. We like to say
Hispanic
bye
way.
like 20 times.
So many times. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Do us that favor. Don't forget to follow us on social media at BizBrosco.
And if you find this episode impactful, which I am sure you did, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye.